Good morning, my friends. We have a great show for you today. I got a really, really nice surprise for you. We have a special guest that is going to be joining us, my friend. You know him as Brooklyn Dad, my good friend Majid Padian. He is absolutely one of the best people in the world to talk to. I smile every time I see him. I really do. He's a terrific guy. We're going to talk about some current events that are going on. Got a little bit of breaking news I got to hit you with today, Majid. I'm sorry about that. But folks, grab your coffee, grab your pen and paper for the round table afterwards, and let's get after this. Let's do it. Good morning, my friend. How you doing today?
I am well, thanks, Paul. How are you? Thanks for having me here.
I am wonderful. Thanks for being here, man. Really, I know this is early. I know it's a pain in the ass to get here. I really appreciate you getting here, man. I love talking to you. I really do.
I loved your intro. It made me hungry.
Everybody says that. Everybody says that. That's a good intro. I like it. I like it. So, I hope your coffee's as good as mine this morning, my friend.
I make this in the Chemex. It's very good.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I was going to do an intro and run for a couple minutes and kind of set up a few topics, but we've got a little breaking news this morning, so I wanted to bring you in right away. I don't know if you've heard yet this morning, but there's been a bombing in Iran.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's folks, this is just a reminder. We talked about this a couple times on the show. This is Qasem Soleimani. He was responsible when we were in Iraq. The foreign fighters in Iraq started out pretty humble, but got far more sophisticated far too quickly. And this was the guy responsible for it. The IED technology, all of it. This came from Qasem Soleimani. So when he arrogantly flew to Baghdad in 2020, we killed him. We did. No bones about it. We hit him with a drone strike and we killed him. Iran has come out and said the October 7th attacks in Israel were in direct response to Soleimani's killing. And they mark his death every year, January 3rd, 2020. They have a thing to, celebrate his martyrdom. And they had a bombing this year. It took place. His graveyard is just across the street from the Sahib el-Azam Sahib el-Zaman Mosque. And there's a parade every year, and they get together and they commemorate his martyrdom. Someone placed two explosives, remote detonated explosives in the crowd. And so far the death toll is above 100 now, with more than 300 injured. X-Shan being the sewer it can be is already, they've convinced everybody, it was Mossad, but Mossad doesn't do this. they just don't. Mossad will execute people. They will engage in rocket attack. Like, that's one of the things we're going to talk about today is Al-Aruri, Majid, but I don't know. What's your take on this? Because right now, everything all over social media is they're trying to say Mossad did this, but I'm trying to wrap my head around it and figure out why would Mossad do this. This is a loser for Mossad.
Well, I also heard that people were pinning this on Mossad, and frankly, I'm not a security expert or an intelligence expert to be able to opine intelligently on this subject. I mean, your guess is as good as mine as to who is responsible. I think the anytime you attack civilians, it is reprehensible. It's horrible. I don't support it at all. Whoever the hell it was that did it, um, you could go in 10 different directions on who did this and still be wrong. You could say, oh, this was maybe it was a false flag attack to maybe make someone else look bad. You could, it could be anybody, really. It could have been the United States. Honestly, if we're being honest, it could have been anybody, and that includes us as well. I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. I like to believe at the end of the day, we are the good guys, but I also know that we have been responsible for some really heinous stuff. Oh,
well, yeah, man.
Can I curse on this show?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, man. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
I always look at something like this, and I really haven't had a chance to really soak this in. I haven't, but I always look at these. I'm kind of an Occam's razor kind of guy. Just ask yourself who benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll usually point you in the right direction.
Right.
And I've got to say, Israel, the Mossad do not benefit from this in any way, shape, or form. This is nothing that they gain any traction with. This doesn't benefit Israel at all. Shitting on this guy's grave does nothing for us. I think the mistake that a lot of people make when they look at this region is they look at these countries nationally. Like we tend to do that as just people. We impart what we are on other people. The guy that's screaming the loudest that people are stealing is usually a thief. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's kind of the personality thing, the way it works. And so people look at Iran, or they look at Syria, or they look at Lebanon, or Saudi Arabia, or any of these countries, and they're like, well, they're like the United States. It's national. It's not that way. It's really not. These are predominantly confederations of tribes and factions, with the strongest of the groups ruling the country. Mm-hmm. And Iran has a serious factional problem on its hands. They really do. We saw this summer with the uprisings over the killings of and oh my God, I just had don't you hate that when you're talking about somebody and their name goes poof? Yeah, the young woman that was killed in Iran over exposing her hair, that led to all of the
I can't remember. I know who you're talking about, but I can't remember.
You know who I'm talking about, though.
Yep.
There are groups in Iran that they're, don't get me wrong, they're not secularists, they're not, but they really don't like how far the Islamic State has gone in Iran. They're the moderates everybody talks about when you talk about Islam. I mean, they're just like Christianity. There are spectrums out there. You've got some churches that are pro LGBTQ plus, and then you've got some churches that are just freaking hardcore. And there's a whole spectrum there. Just like with Islam, there's a whole spectrum there. And there's a big faction in Iran that are really not pleased, not happy with the government in Iran. Because, if you look at Iran was a beautiful place, man. It was a beautiful place. I mean, it was a cosmopolitan. Tehran was the Paris of the Middle East. I have not been. But I have seen images of it. I have seen people who study it and talk about it that have shown me images of it. I have close personal friends that actually worked there that were showing me, the old slides. Remember slide projectors? Sure, man. We're sitting there, and they were showing me just how beautiful Iran, because a lot of Americans really had the wrong idea about Iran. They really did. You know, everything, there was a real
Well,
negative backlash in this country about
well,
Iran.
that would
And
go
these
back
folks,
to the hostage crisis back in what was it,
Mhm.
1980?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly where that all started. But yeah, I sat there with my good friend the Kleins. They actually taught at a language school down in San Antonio, where they would teach people that we would bring in from other countries uh, that spoke Arabic, and they would teach them English and how to, basically military training is what they did for a living. But they were showing me pictures from Tehran that were just gorgeous, my friend. I mean, it was so cosmopolitan. I mean, the latest fashions, and then that went away. I mean, that went away. That was one of the casualties of the Islamic Revolution there. And
I think what's happened over the years is that there has been, as you alluded to, there's been a stigma attached to Iran that it really should be focused on the government of Iran as opposed to the people of Iran. If I had to, and by the way, if I had to take an educated guess about who might have been responsible for this bombing, and leaning back to your point about who benefits the most, it seems like the intent of this bombing, if Mossad was the line they wanted to draw a connection to, then it seems like the intent was to somehow draw Iran into that Hamas Israel conflict. And so whoever could possibly want Iran to jump in to that fight is probably responsible, and that could be anyone. It could be extremists in Iran. It could be extremists from Hamas. It could really have been anybody.
yeah, that's kind of the beat I'm getting on it. Till I get some real information, some real intelligence out of this. That's my first guess. Also, I'm right there with you, my friend. I someone that really wants to piss off people at Israel, at the West, would do this. I mean,
Mhm.
they would, because I mean they're the ones that benefit the most, not us. This just unnecessarily hurts people. This doesn't serve our cause at all. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I'm with you. I think it is one of the factions in Iran that would like to destabilize the government, that wants, that will benefit from crisis, because Iran greatly overplayed its hand in all of this. I mean, the October 7th attacks, Hamas and Iran both wildly overplayed their hands. You've got the UK right now that are planning air raids. They've come out and they're saying we're going to hit Yemen. We are. They are 100% leading the charge on that, because it's the UK and Europe that has been hurt the worst by this whole Red Sea thing that the Houthis are doing on behest of the Iranians.
Mhm.
And like I said, we've been incrementally doing things, like when the Houthis came out and tried to hit another boat, then we attacked those folks, but the UK, man, they're like, oh no, this is our entire economy, and their economy is struggling as it is. They're not, the world isn't exactly where we are. I mean, again, people try to put their understandings of things on other people and don't realize that Europe really doesn't have any room to screw around with this. They don't.
Mhm.
Their economies are just coming out of the doldrums, and for the Houthis and the Iranians to do this, to me, I think they just badly miscalculated where the entire world was and how much patience they have for this kind of thing. Because the UK really are. They're like, the second one of these cruise missiles hit a ship, it's on. We're going in. I mean, and right now you've got the Biden administration. They're like, whoa, whoa, slow down, slow down. We've really kept the lid on this. Let's not let this burn out of hand.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know, man.
It's making me nervous. Bombs and missiles. We don't need that right now. I mean, we're obviously America is going to protect its interests here and abroad, but I really hope cooler heads prevail and this thing does not spiral out of control and escalate to the point where we're sending troops and you know we don't want that. We don't want that.
Yeah. Well, we've had some other breaking news that I just wanted to get to real quick. We had um, Israel did kill Salah al-Aruri
Oh,
in
the Hamas
Beirut.
guy.
Yeah, in Beirut. I've seen a lot of really bad takes on it. X-Chan, that's what I call Twitter now. X-Chan has it's gotten really, really bad. And when this strike happened, oh my God, you've got this confluence of the white supremacists that hate Jews, and then you've got the Arab Palestinian supporters that are really angry right now. And man, they're creating this storm on XGen that is just like awful. I mean, it is awful. But yeah, as soon as that strike happened, the worst takes in the world started coming out. Like people were saying, um, "Oh my God, Israel hit Beirut. That means war with Lebanon." And I was like, "No, no, it doesn't. It's not gonna." Don't get me wrong. Lebanon is not happy to have Israel firing rockets into an apartment building on Lebanese soil. But what people don't really understand is, that didn't really happen. Technically, it was in Lebanon, but it really kind of wasn't. That was in the Dahib neighborhood of Beirut. The Lebanese government doesn't control that area. That is a Hezbollah enclave. I mean, the police don't even go there. I mean, the police don't even go there. So, yeah, Lebanon's not really pleased about this, but what people don't really understand is the government of Lebanon would really like to see Hezbollah go. They're not really pleased with it. I mean, that's why when this whole thing happened, everybody was putting it out there, oh, this is going to be war in the region, and this is going to be, and I kept telling everybody after October 7th, no, it's not. It's not. Nobody's happy about the Palestinians getting hurt. They're not. But nobody wants Hamas to survive either. Egypt does not want Hamas to survive. Jordan does not. Jordan has its hands full with its own Palestinian population. They treat them like second-class freaking citizens. This is what I said before, Majid. This is what I said before. Everybody for the entirety of history has shit on the Palestinian people. I mean, you can go all the way back to freaking Rome, man. Everybody, the Ayyubid Empire, Saladin. Everybody knows Saladin. Nobody knows who knew the Ayyubid Empire. The empire that he led and sprang out of his leadership, and they shit all over the Palestinians and the Levant. They did. So yeah, I mean, I get the Palestinian people wanting to rip their freaking hair out, but no, there's no savior of the Palestinian people anywhere in that region. There just isn't.
My problem with this whole situation is I'm on the side of humanity. When I see children being bombed and pulled out of rubble, covered in blood and dust, it sickens me. If you enter into this conflict with the understanding, with the foreknowledge that your adversary is going to use women and children as human shields, then you should alter your approach. I believe if you already know this from square one, and you know this because you've been dealing with these guys for not like 5 minutes, but for decades, then you have some strategies for dealing with that. You don't go in with the sledgehammer, you go in with the scalpel. And you can't nobody can say that, oh, that's beyond their capability. They are absolutely capable of doing that. But they're just like boom, boom, boom. They're telling the Palestinians, okay, evacuate, go to this place here. And then that place there is where they are bombing. So that's horrendous. Um, and you won't see me posting a lot about the strikes and this and that, because
Yeah.
just like when we were talking about the Iranian bombing right there, I'm not on the ground. I'm not an intel guy, and I don't know. And I do realize that I have a large audience, so it's kind of, it would be irresponsible for me to say with any kind of certainty this is absolutely what happened when I as sure as hell don't know. I don't have a hotline to the Pentagon or anybody who can confirm intel on the ground. But what I can say, overall, is that 22,000 civilians dead is unacceptable. Is absolutely unacceptable. I 100% believe that Israel has a right to defend itself. I know that this was their 9/11, and I remember 9/11 for us because I used to have to, cross over from Brooklyn into Manhattan every day on the Manhattan Bridge, watching the smoldering remains of the World Trade Center. I remember that shit like as if it was yesterday, and it was horrendous. You could still smell, even if you weren't down in the downtown Manhattan, you could still smell the smoke, for like up all the way up to 34th, 42nd Street. You could still smell that smoke. Everybody remembers 9/11 in New York City. So for Israel, October 7th was their 9/11. However, if you already know the tactics that these people are going to use, if you've already decided that if somebody is holding a child in front of them as a human shield and you're going to shoot right through that child to get to that terrorist behind, then you are the bad guy.
Totally understand that sentiment. I do. I totally get it. I totally get it. I told everybody this is what was going to happen. After October 7th happened, I've been screaming for the Palestinian cause for decades because I believe what I'm saying. 100%. The Palestinians have been screwed. I mean, you go back to their own leadership with Yasser Arafat. He didn't look out for the best interests of the Palestinian people. That man died a billionaire living off the largesse of the suffering of the Palestinian people.
Mm.
The current leadership of Hamas are all billionaires living off the suffering of the Palestinian people. Every country in the region, and I mean, you can go back for all of time, has lived off the backs and the sweat of these people. I believe that 100%. I do. But when this happened on October 7th, I took a lot of hate, man, because I told everybody this is exactly what's going to happen. Egypt is done with Hamas. Saudi Arabia is done with Hamas. Everybody is done with Hezbollah. They operate in Syria and Lebanon because they have the equipment and manpower they do, and they're backed by Iran. But nobody wants them there anymore. People are tired of this. So I said, look, this is what's going to happen. Israel is going to plow through Gaza. They are going to dismantle. And I think the statistics are dead wrong. I do. A lot of people are like, "Oh, those are inflated because they come out of Hamas," which they do. All of the statistics, like you just quoted, the 20,000, that number comes out of Hamas. That does. There's no press agency in the world that has people on the ground counting the dead. They take that from the Gazan Health Ministry, which is Hamas. I think that number's low, to be honest with you.
You think it's
People
more?
argue, yeah. People say, "Oh, that's inflated." It's not inflated in the actual body count. I think it's low. But what you never see is the picture. One, because it's culturally, the Israelis don't do it. It's like after the October 7th attack, the Israeli government didn't release the images of all the atrocities and things like that. Culturally, they will not do that. They that's disrespecting the dead. They will not do it. They're not going to show you the images of the Hamas fighters they kill. They're not going to.
What about
the IDF isn't going to.
What about the independent press agencies?
There really isn't any. There really isn't any. There's nobody running around Gaza that's independent. They are all relying on Hamas. They are. And Hamas hasn't showed you a picture of a single dead Hamas fighter. It's always a kid. It's always a kid. And they say there's 20,000 of these. I would wager that the casualty rates are probably closer to 30, 35,000. And I would wager that probably 15 to 20,000 of them are Hamas. The rest are civilians, would be my bet. But I said this was going to happen, Majid. I did. I said, because the entire world was done with it. Israel's done with it. And you know what's happening now is the next part that I was telling people this was going to happen. And everybody's like, no way, it'll never happen. It'll never happen. Let me see. I've got the Washington Post on. Just look at this strike, man. This is from two things I'm going to bring up. First one is from the Al-Aruri attack, where Israel absolutely did this. They sent in a drone, 3 rockets, hit this apartment building and killed Al-Aruri. This is the apartment building. They used limited. Again, they don't get off on killing civilians. Look at the damage in this building. This was hit with 3 rockets. If those were full-on military grade, we're going to kill everybody rockets, that apartment building wouldn't be standing, taking 3 hits. It just wouldn't. If those were JDAMs, that would be a hole in the ground. That would be a pile of rubble they were sifting through. Look at it. I mean, the floors above, 2 floors above, 2 floors below, nothing, no damage whatsoever. Those were very limited. Like you were talking about their ability to surgically strike. That's what it looks like, surgically strike. Look at the right side of that building. The glass isn't even broken. That's what a surgical strike looks like. That's what they did when they killed Harari. But I want you to take a look at this. This is really going on right now today, and this is the next phase that I was trying to tell you is going to, that I've told everybody was going to happen. I told everybody Israel is going to tear ass through Gaza. They're going to kill as many Hamas fighters as possible. They're going to destroy their infrastructure. Did you see the footage of that huge explosion down in Khan Yunis where they blew up the tunnel? And it would ran all the way underneath the town, man. It was just a massive explosion. It looked like a mining explosion.
No,
when
I haven't
they
seen it.
made it that time. Oh my God, you need to see that video. If I should have had that for you, but man, that was mind blowing. And when you talk about worrying about civilian population, that's the part that just made me cringe, because that was a detonation. You've seen mine detonations before, right? It just ripped through Khan Yunis because they collapsed that entire tunnel system.
Who? The IDF?
The Israelis. Yeah, the IDF did. And that means that everything that was on top of that tunnel system collapsed with it.
Yep.
It's like, people died there. They did. It's just, and nobody wants that. But I knew it was going to happen because, like I said, everybody's done with Hamas. Everybody is. The strike on Al Aruri, Turkey. He was living in Turkey, but they were all living in Qatar. Then they fled. Some of them went to Iran. Some of them went to Turkey. Al Aruri went to Turkey, where Turkey said, Israel, you don't kill anybody on our soil, or it's war. And Turkey is the only country in the region that can stand toe to toe with Israel militarily. They can't. If Turkey and Israel went to war, that would be freaking horrific, dude. Mm-hmm. Those two that's like the two big kids on the block. And Turkey said, don't you dare do it. And like I said, the Mossad, they don't do suitcase bombings in crowds. They told Turkey, look, we got a list. It's Yahya Sinwar, Ismail Haniyeh, Khalid Mashal, Musa Abu Marzouk, and a dozen other people you never heard of, including Salah al-Aruri. And Turkey said, you will not attack these people on our soil. Here's the address of the apartment al-Aruri's at in Beirut. And that's how that stuff happens, man. I mean, Turkey said, you want to kill that guy? You kill him there. You don't kill him here. Qatar kicked everybody out. They did. They kicked everybody out.
What I'd like to know is what to Israel, what does victory look like? What does the achievement of their military goals look like? Because right now, to me and to a whole lot of us, it just looks like they're looking to destroy all of Gaza, just reduce it to rubble, period. That's what it looks like. And it doesn't look like, well, we want to take out these 50 heads and, middle managers, so to speak. And we want to eliminate, 15,000 fighters, et cetera, et cetera. How are you going to do that without, murdering tens of thousands more Palestinians? And, you mentioned earlier how everybody is kind of shit on the Palestinians. Once you get past all of the death that they're dealing with right now, how do they come back? What are they coming back to? Are they allowed to return? You know what I mean? They've already been in this situation where they don't even have a right of, that you and I have, of like electricity and, right to go to a hospital without having to go through a security checkpoint and all that stuff. These people have been living a nightmare before a single bomb dropped. They're living in Palestine or in Gaza as second-class citizens. So what happens the day after? What does that look like? And we're not hearing any of that stuff. All we're hearing is, well, we have to go after Hamas. Well, okay, yeah. What does that look like? Do you have to kill? How many more babies do you have to destroy? Or children and women and stuff like that.
This is the next step, right here. This is the next step. Gaza is massively overcrowded. You have a huge unemployment problem there. You have a ready-made army for Hamas and groups like Hamas. It's going to take years to rebuild Gaza. Israel is working right now. They're doing this. They're working with Saudi Arabia. They're working with the Democratic Republic of the Congo. They're working with any friendly government they can find, and they are going to resettle Palestinians. They are. They're going to reduce the population problems that Gaza has. They're working with Fatah right now to create a government in Gaza. That's the next thing that's going to happen. There are 5 really powerful families in Gaza, and they are going to work with one of those families to assume leadership. Fatah, they tried to do it with Fatah first. Fatah said, no, we can't. We can't. We're barely holding on in the West Bank. Hamas has been expanding here into the West Bank. Fatah and Hamas don't get along. They really don't. They're competing factions. Like I keep telling people, these are confederations of factions. They're not. Fatah said, no, we don't want Gaza. So what they're doing right now is they're trying to work with some of the more powerful families in Gaza to create a new leadership in Gaza post-Hamas, because Hamas is done. They are. Structurally, they've got nothing. They've lost their rocket sites. They've lost their weapons caches. They've lost their tunnel systems. They've lost, there's little to nothing Iran can do to help them at this point. So what do you do now? The cities, Khan Yunis and Gaza City are mostly destroyed. Well, that's not exactly true either. That was overblown also. They're about 40% destroyed. It's going to take years to rebuild it, though. And Hamas won't do it. We've seen that every bit of aid Hamas gets, Hamas takes. It's very difficult to get aid to the people through Hamas. It's virtually impossible. So what they're doing is they're working with those cracks within the community in Gaza, and they're trying to find one of the stronger families that are willing to stick their neck out, because if you go against Hamas, you come for the king, you better kill him. You better, because if you don't, Hamas will decimate this family. So that's what Israel's trying to do. And they're working with, like I said, Democratic Republic of Congo. They're working with Saudi Arabia, which these countries have all used Palestinians for labor. I'm not exactly ecstatic about this, because the way these countries treat Palestinians sucks ass. It really does. The Saudis use Palestinians for frickin' slave labor. The Egyptians Israel uses the Palestinians for frickin' slave labor. They really do. And that's going to continue. It's going to continue. It's a shame. I believe that they really passed on. They had the eyes of the world on them, and they really screwed up by not trying to negotiate out a larger homeland for their people. I think it's just a missed opportunity, but they did the same thing Yasser Arafat did and said no, because Yasser Arafat made his fortune off the suffering of the Palestinian people. Hamas makes his fortune off the suffering of the Palestinian people. So no, they said, no, we're not going to do it.
Have you heard that Netanyahu did not like dealing with the Palestinian Authority because apparently they favored a two-state solution and he doesn't? Have you heard that?
Yeah. There's a faction within, look, Israel has factions just like everybody else. And the Netanyahu hardliners do not really believe that they can coexist peacefully with a Palestinian state. They don't. I'm never going to bullshit anybody and say that they do. They don't believe they're going to be able to peacefully. They think that the hatred and everything goes back. It goes back to the founding of the country. 1948, the day Israel became a nation, they were attacked on all sides. And you've got this faction in Israel that says we will never be able to get along with the Palestinian people, ever. And then you have that same faction within the Palestinian people that are saying, we will never, from the river to the sea, baby, we get it back or nothing. Netanyahu is the mirror opposite of that. He's the mirror opposite of the river to the sea people. And that's why there's such a, Bibi's holding on by the skin of his fingernails. He's lost power before. He will lose power again over this. I would bet my hat that he loses power again over this. But, I tell people what is, not what I wish it was. He's going to hold power for a few more years. He is. You're going to have to decimate the Likud in elections. It's a democracy, folks. It's the only functioning democracy in the region.
Indeed. If it looks like I'm frowning, I'm actually squinting because I wore contacts for you, buddy. I'm usually wearing my glasses, but I know when I do these things, like the glare from my computer screen hits the glasses and it's distracting. So I'm
Yeah.
contacting for you today, buddy.
I appreciate it, man. This right here, this guy right here. Um, I like to big picture things for folks because this whole conflict that we're talking about is not the big picture. It isn't. There are much bigger players at this table, namely Putin. Um, Iran didn't decide on its own that they were going to back an attack in Israel. They knew their Russia daddy had their back. And Putin needed this because his government's falling apart. His country's economics are falling apart. He's losing on ground in Africa, and that's the next part about this. I want to introduce you to Felix Antoine Tshisekedi Chilombo.
That's easy for you to say.
Yeah. He goes colloquially by Felix Tshisekedi.
Say that 5 times fast.
No. This rather dapper gentleman right here is Felix Tshisekedi. He is the ruler of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. He's one of those, his dad ruled it, and now he rules it. But he's been more successful. They just recently had a coup that he put down. You know how bloody the Congo's been. We've all talked about that. But he has just done something in his negotiations with Israel that is really a game changer in Africa. Let's go to the map real quick. Let me show you what we're talking about here, folks. Let me show you what we're talking about. This is actually really big, man. This is a big shift in the power dynamic because we've had the Wagner Group. Okay, this is Africa. We're talking about Central Africa, Equatorial Africa. Literally, the equator cuts the DRC in about half.
I was not told geography was going to be on this exam.
Don't worry about it. There's no test. You got the Central African Republic here. Wagner and Russia all but control this country. They have been making inroads into the Democratic Republic of the Congo. But Tshisekedi is not wanting to be a second-hand fiddle puppet for Putin. He's seen what's happened in Sudan. He's seen what's happened in Rwanda. He's seen what's happened in the Central African Republic. And right now, this guy's name is mud on the world stage because of the brutality, everything that happened, the Rwandan genocide, the Democratic Republic of Congo genocide were all tied together. This region right here, you've got Uganda here, just to the east. Uganda is where all of our crazy ass Christo nationalist folks send people. That's where the Chick-fil-A guy, the boycott over Chick-fil-A, was over him funding Christian nationalist groups that were going into Uganda and fomenting the idea of murdering gay people. That's where that whole protest came out of, right?
Okay. I had this whole time, I swear to God, this entire time, I thought it was because Chick-fil-A had anti-LGBTQ employment practices.
They don't. No, they don't. And the company actually disagrees with S. Truett Cathy, their founder. They've come out and made public statements. This guy doesn't speak for us. This guy does not speak for us. They have really, but all the money you spend at Chick-fil-A makes S. Truett Cathy really rich.
Paul, I've never had Chick-fil-A, not once. And I'll tell you, I have driven past Chick-fil-A locations, I would say maybe about 100 times at least. And there's always a line. There's always a crazy long line into the road or whatever. And I'm like, damn, how good is that food? Just like wondering. I will never have it.
You never have to wonder, dude. You like chicken breasts?
It's all right. If it's moist, sure.
You like dill pickles?
Yeah, dill pickles, okay.
Okay. Next time you empty a jar of dill pickles, save the brine. And
Mhm.
before you fry your chicken breast next time, do you chicken fry things, or is that just a Southern thing? You old boys in Brooklyn do that, man. Before you fry your
I
chicken,
uh-huh.
before you fry your chicken breast, soak it for a few hours up to overnight in that dill pickle juice, and you will have Chick-fil-A chicken.
Excuse me? Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. That's really it. That's the secret of Chick-fil-A chicken. It's pickle chicken. I'm not kidding, man. I'm really not kidding.
So that's what I've been missing, huh? Is it good?
No,
Is
it's
you
oh
know?
yeah, I can't knock Chick-fil-A. That's some good freaking chicken, man. It really
Yes.
is.
All right. All right.
You know, somebody said in the comments that it's. I read your comments, folks. I have the greatest audience, dude. I really do. These people are
They're having a
usually
ball. I've been watching too. Yeah.
they are ahead of our conversations usually. If we talk about something, unless I get into something really obscure, they're like, "Oh, did you know this is going on? That's going on." These people know what the hell is happening, man. There's no catching these people up. I'm telling you, they're freaking fantastic. One of the guys in the comments though was like, "That Chick-fil-A chicken's dry." It's not. It's
I
not.
don't like
Trust me.
dried chicken. Yeah.
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 I don't go to Chick-fil-A. I don't, because that reason. S. Truett Cathy, I don't like Christian nationalists. I have no problem with a Christian. I don't. But I
Mhm.
don't like Christian nationalists. And the shit they've been doing in Uganda is freaking awful. They have been funding missionaries going to Uganda. All the radical group, the family, all these radical groups tied in with the Republican Party have been sending missionaries to Uganda, and they have been propping up their leadership by doing the same thing in Uganda that they've been doing here, but to extremes. You know how
Mm.
they're like, well, you got to hate gay people here? That gives people somebody to attack and look down on. They've
Yeah.
been doing that in Uganda in the extreme, and they've been funding murder is what they've been doing. So I can't
Mm.
spend money at Chick-fil-A,
Yeah.
make S. Truett Cathy rich because he still owns the stock, and have him send that money to Uganda. I can't.
Yeah. Agreed.
I just can't.
Agreed.
Same freaking, but I'm not gonna lie, that's some good freaking chicken, dude. It really is. But I haven't had it in
Thank you for
years.
explaining that to me. Thank you. Because now
Yeah,
I feel even better about just driving past them. Yeah.
yeah. But you know, man. But back to what we were talking about. Where does this end up? That's the goal, man. Is they're going to offer to the Palestinians, especially the ones they have in custody. They've taken a lot. Nobody has a count on how many people they've taken into custody during this. They're going to tell these people, look, you can go to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is going to they're going to selectively pick. They're not going to take any Hamas fighters. Saudi Arabia doesn't want Hamas on its soil any more than they've got enough radical problems in their borders. They do. But as far as just general population, civilians, there's a ready-made workforce there. The Saudis are like, bring them. Democratic Republic of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi has a huge problem. He's a pariah on the world stage because of the just the brutal. You want to talk about genocide? We're talking about 4 million people in Congo have been butchered. He's got to revive himself on the world stage. And that's what Tshisekedi's doing here. They're partnering up with Israel, which is a big middle finger to Putin, because Putin doesn't want that, man. He does not want that. He wants this, just like Hamas, he wants this to stay as bad as it possibly can, as hot as it possibly can, for as long as it possibly can, because look what it's doing politically here in our country.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, but Tshisekedi is saying, no, we're going to take in refugees. We're going to be like Chad. Chad is an amazing country in Africa. One of the finest places, finest people in the world. One of the best fighting forces. They model their military after ours. You know, our military, it's really built around the non-commissioned officers controlling the troops. And the officers are more thinkers than doers. You know, that's the way Chad. They don't use the Russian model where it's all about, the officers down. It's they build out a amazingly effective fighting force. They're a former French colony that's gotten their independence. They have their first world, man. Nothing third world about Chad at all. I mean, it is. I mean, it's a beautiful country. It is. You should check it out sometime, man. I mean,
Have you
I'm
been to
looking forward to
Chad
going
too?
there. Hey, no, man. I've been to several different countries, but there are places on my list, and Chad is one of them. I mean, it is all the beauty of North Africa with none of the craziness. I mean, thumbs up, man. Thumbs up. But yeah, that's what Tshisekedi's trying to do, is turn his country into another Chad so that he can get support from us, military support from us, military training, open up the dialogue again. Israel is opening hello, mind blank. I hate when I say that. Oh, come on, man. You open one up when we've got the,
Give me a hint here. Give me a hint so I can help you out.
diplomats work and live there.
An embassy?
There you go, embassy. Man, I'm having brain seizures today, dude.
All right, buddy.
Israel just opened up an embassy there, which is huge, man. Which is huge because Wagner has, like I said, they're all over Central African Republic. They were in Rwanda. They're out in Eastern Africa. Just more problems than they're freaking. They just, and that's when I said everybody was like when Prigozhin. They're like, well, why didn't Putin kill Prigozhin right away? Because all the diamond mines, all the gold mines, all the oil rights, everything that's being taken out of Africa is taken in the name of the Wagner Group.
Wow.
So Putin had to get his hands on those contracts before he killed Prigozhin. And as soon as Prigozhin's son betrayed him and said, "I'll run Wagner for you, Putin," then Prigozhin's plane fell out of the sky.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
fell out of an open window.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
We're going to hell for laughing about that. It is so true. It is so true. Yeah, my man. But that's what I like to do, is just big picture things so that people can see going into the future. All of a sudden, people are like, I cannot believe that Joe Biden has anything to do with Felix Tshisekedi. Well, yeah, this is why. This is why they're trying to turn a corner. They're trying to get back into the international community. I mean, they are in charge. We got a choice: give them to Russia, or we can deal with them.
I hadn't even heard of this Felix Tshisekedi guy before appearing on your show here.
Well, yeah, man. Everybody talks about genocide. There was like a 4-year ceasefire from 2018 between Israel and Hamas. Everybody was like, well, there was a genocide going on. I'm like, during a ceasefire? Really? But there's really one going on in Darfur, Western Sudan. It's freaking butchery. There's really a genocide going on there. Chad is taking in, that's why we send aid to Chad, because they're taking in those refugees from Darfur. And this is why we're starting to work with Congo, even though the Congolese have just had a brutal, bloody, couple of decades that are just horrific, man. 4 million people vanished off the face of the planet. That's a genocide.
Yeah, indeed.
I mean, anyways, I don't mean to. I got another question for you, man. My Brooklyn guy.
First, before you move on from that, I just want to say this is like the most that I have spent discussing international affairs, and specifically like Africa, which is it's pretty cool. I just did that 23andMe. Have you know about the 23andMe thing, right?
Yeah.
So I learned some interesting facts. There's 44% of me is from Africa, and specifically North Africa, even more specifically Nigeria. And then 21% is from Indonesia. That's my father's father, was straight over from Indonesia. And then this is the craziest one. 31% Europe, specifically Britain and Ireland. I was like, what? That's crazy. That's an aside that has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that we are discussing Africa today. But go ahead,
You know,
please.
believe it. We have a daughter that she's grown ass woman. We call her our daughter. We try to adopt her. She's the most wonderful person in the world. She's from Nigeria.
Oh, nice.
She is amazing. We love her to death. She's good friends with our daughter, and she's just amazing. So yeah, I absolutely believe you're from Nigeria, my man. There is something about the temperament and the decency and the smile of people from Nigeria that's just amazing. Yeah, I mean, it really is. It's just amazing.
Thank you very much.
But look, man, I was on XChan, and there was another topic that I really wanted to hit today. There's a guy I follow on XChan, really smart guy, and he put this tweet out, and what he's talking about is the arguments that Trump is making and what it means. That guy's you, by the way.
Oh, I'm squinting because I can barely see it, but please read it. Read it
I know it's hard to read. It's hard to read these tweets. Let me read it for you. Fun fact for MAGA dummies: Trump does not have unlimited presidential immunity, but if he does, so does President Biden. He wouldn't, but if he wanted to, he could refuse to peacefully transfer power if he somehow lost to that bozo and just stay in office. See how that works? Outstanding point, my friend, that I don't think enough people realize. Every argument Trump is making, he's not making for himself. He's making for Joe Biden. He's literally saying, I've got immunity. I could create a false slate of electors. I could engage in a coup and try to stay in power, and I am immune from prosecution because I was president.
Yeah. First of all, it always sounds funny to me when someone reads my tweets back to me. It's hilarious. But I just like to show. I try to show Trump supporters, how asinine their positions sound, and you kind of have to look at it from our shoes, right? Now, I sure as hell would not want to see Joe Biden or any Democrat do what Donald Trump is accused of having done and has done. I wouldn't want to see that behavior from my president, from President Biden. Wouldn't want to see it at all. But I do want to impress upon them, if you guys are making this case for Donald Trump having that kind of immunity, then it also extends and applies to President Biden. So check yourselves, please.
That's why I keep telling people are like, they're really afraid of what the Supreme Court's going to do. And I keep telling everybody, no, this Supreme Court is not going to hand that blank check book. It's not even a blank check. It's a blank check book to Joe Biden. They're just not going to do it. I mean, I'm sorry, but I understand there's a lot of people, we work with a lot of resistors. We do. We don't all agree. I had Boston Smalls on the other day. He and I disagree. You and I disagree about some things, but we all love democracy. We all want to see a functioning, real democracy in this country. And I have to tell you, even the most radical of the right, as much as I love to make people afraid of what they really need to be afraid of, that's one I have not lost an ounce of sleep about. I do not believe that this Supreme Court is going to hand Joe Biden that much power. I just don't. I don't know if they're going to duck the case and not hear it, or they're going to hear it and shoot down Donald Trump. Because remember, you're absolutely right, my friend. Any constraints they put on Trump in their decision, they're really putting on Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm severely disappointed with this Supreme Court. Just they're a huge disappointment. They've lost a lot of credibility in my eyes. The things that we've learned, the revelations about Clarence Thomas and all the gifts from billionaires that he's taken without recusing himself from cases, and I think Thomas Alito as well. And actually, come to think of it, Kavanaugh has gotten a great amount of gifts. Like there's still a matter of I think $200,000. It's where did that come from? So I have very low expectations for the Supreme Court actually doing the right thing, and I'm not just talking about for as it relates to Trump or Biden, but they don't seem to be looking down the road. They don't seem to be taking into account the ramifications of their decisions. I think the most catastrophic decision they could have made, this Supreme Court has made, was Dobbs. I think it's horrendous. It's a horrendous decision. Every Supreme Court justice who had been grilled in confirmation about whether or not Roe was settled law, and they swore to God, oh yeah, it's settled law. Yeah, no, there's no question. And then as soon as they had the opportunity to, boom, they just killed it. So I have little to no faith that this Supreme Court will do the right thing in regards to anything. I'll be shocked if they do the right thing.
Yeah, like when their mom says here, the dog caught the bus on that one. There's because kind of where I'm going with it. Got a couple of video clips for you, my man. This is Christina Bobb. This is Trump's lawyer, my friend. This is Trump's lawyer. You're talking about just having lost credibility. This is where Republicans are at. I mean, this is insane. Let me blow this up so everybody can see it.
President is elected by the entire nation, and it should be the entire nation who determines who they want for president, whether they're guilty of insurrection or not. It's up to the people.
One more time.
By the entire nation, and it should be the entire nation who determines who they want for president, whether they're guilty of insurrection or not. It's up to the people.
Whether they're guilty or not. That is a ringing endorsement of guilt that I've ever heard.
That's his lawyer, man.
It's terrible.
I heard that first. I was like, what?
It's insane.
We actually have an amendment to the Constitution that disagrees with her vehemently. Oh my God! But that's it. She's just arguing. Ignore the Constitution. That's what she's arguing there, man.
Why are we splitting hairs over Section 3 of the 14th Amendment? We can all read English. It's not like any kind of mystical interpretation that you need. Was he an officer of the United States? Come on, man. He was the president. It's the president. You expect a certain level of behavior, of conduct from your president. You expect a certain amount of fidelity from your president, fidelity to the Constitution. And his actions undoubtedly put our democracy at risk. So why are we splitting hairs over this? Yeah, he committed insurrection. It's common sense. If Thomas Jefferson was watching the events of January 6th, he'd have been like, that son of a bitch did insurrection. Straight up. That's what we wrote Section 3 of the 14th Amendment for. He would say that, for crying out loud. Boy, sorry for
man,
for the rant.
No, man, I 100% agree with you. And it's not like, when they wrote the Second Amendment, they were vague. It's like the some bitches were being charged for commas or something. It's like they left commas out, and now it's interpretation. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment is really specific.
Yep.
It is not vague.
Mm-hmm.
It is completely clear. It's so clear they even wrote out that if this happens to you, like they take Trump off the ballots and say you can't run, they even have a remedy for that written in, whereas Congress can go ahead and restore someone's ability to run. I mean, they didn't screw around with this amendment, my friend. I mean, there is, like you said, I don't know why we're splitting hairs about this. There are no hairs to split.
Yeah.
I mean, they were completely clear.
Boggles my mind. These constitutional scholars are like, it's hard to say. No, it's not. I'm no rocket scientist, but I know goddamn well what I saw. Excuse me, but I know that he was not acting in good faith. All these fake elector schemes and all this. Come on now. Come on. Lock him up.
This is what I always argue. Republicans are windsocks. Whatever serves them is the direction they're going to point. And, they sit there and they will argue all day long. We believe in the Constitution. Don't you believe in the Constitution? I'm an American patriot because I believe in the Second Amendment.
That's it.
Even though I ignore half of it about the well-regulated militia part, but I believe in the Constitution, my friend. Then you show them the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, and they're like, no. No, we are a democracy. I know I just spent the last 10 years since I was a teenager, 20 years since I was a teenager, arguing that we're not a democracy. We're a republic. We're a republic. But now we're a democracy. I mean, it's hilarious. Let me show you another clip that is exactly what I'm talking about there. You brought up Dobbs. This is Nancy Mace. Okay. The Republicans have been getting their clocks cleaned over abortion. They're actually fighting two fronts. One here. Let me just go ahead and play this clip for you.
Because
Let me start it over. You ready?
We're losing the fight because we're not being compassionate to women. We are throwing it back in their face. And you look at the Texas ruling, but we're losing the fight because we're not being compassionate to women. We are throwing it back in their face. And you look at the Texas ruling.
The Texas ruling, she's talking about Kate Cox down here is what she's talking about, where she had she had a non-viable fetus, and they're like, deliver it anyways. No matter what happens to your body, we don't care.
Yeah,
just deliver it. That's what she's talking about. They are trying to windsock their abortion stance. They are, because we've been killing them at the polls. We've been putting amendments on the ballots before elections because it just draws, as clear as the line between you and I on this screen, it draws a complete break and line between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party and completely clarifies this is what you're voting about.
Yep.
And the Republicans have been getting killed. So now, they're trying to kill all of these amendments. They are. Every state, they're doing everything they can. We're trying to get amendments on as many states as possible. They're trying to kill them all. They don't want the people. We're a democracy, but damn it, we don't want people voting on that. I mean, they're just, there's no moral to them whatsoever.
What is mind-boggling to me, what's puzzling, is that Republicans pride themselves as being the party of small government. There's nothing bigger government than legislating inside someone's uterus, legislating inside someone's bedroom and saying what kind of sexual relations they can engage in. This Republican Party is really overstepping and trampling the freedoms that we're supposed to be guaranteed in the Constitution. I know the Constitution doesn't say anything about abortion, but maybe it should. Maybe it's time for another amendment, to enshrine women's right to bodily autonomy in it. I think that's very important. If was it the 19th Amendment was women's suffrage? Am I right? Was it the 19th?
I don't remember the exact amendment. You got me off flat-footed there, but I will tell you this: a simple amendment that says women and men are equal. You will make no laws governing women that you do not make governing men would solve this problem. It would really solve this problem. I mean, if men had, man, if they came at your nutsack with a knife, the men would not put up with this at all. I mean, they will tell women.
No, go ahead.
No, they will pass any law regarding women, and I don't know how the hell they get away with it. I really don't, because men would not put up with this at all. At all.
So I like to post tweets saying, like, if we're going to if you're mandating forcing a woman to give birth, then there should be forced vasectomies. I like posting that because, okay, you think that it's okay to legislate what happens to a woman's body? Let's try it on the other foot. Let's see how men would like to have a forced vasectomy, or how about we ban Viagra? Let's ban that. Let's see how you feel about that. Oh, that's wrong. Why is it wrong? It's okay to restrict women, but not okay to restrict men. Come on now.
Well, man, I firmly believe that limp dick was God's will.
Right.
I'm sorry. I told you we got a great audience, man. I told you I got the best freaking audience on the internet, my friend. I really do. Tiffy here says it's the 19th, and I would tell you could take that to the bank.
Oh, okay.
19th Amendment. Yeah, I guarantee you could take that to the bank. I mean, these folks are always. They know what the hell they're talking about. They really do. And they hold me to it, man. If I screw something up, brother, I hear it, man. I'm telling you. I love these folks. I really do.
That's the best kind of audience to have. Yeah. The ones, they have your back. Yeah.
Well, look, we've had another bit of news happen. Yesterday was a big news day, my friend. It was a big news day. This one, I am dying to get your take on. I really am. Because I fall way off the chart from most of the folks on our side on this one. Claudine Gay resigned, actually has announced her resignation as president of Harvard. That happened yesterday. Recently, this all stems from the hearing that they had, a congressional hearing where they were asked the question, if someone calls for the genocide of Jews, does that run against your university's policies of conduct?
Yeah, I think that should have been like, that's low hanging fruit. Like, yeah, of course. I mean, and I think she and the other university president, they were trying to split hairs and trying to, because universities come under fire a lot from the right, actually. And here's the interesting thing: the very same people who were castigating President Gay and President, did you say McGill? Was that her name? Liz McGill?
Yeah, Liz McGill.
Yeah.
Elizabeth McGill.
The same people who were vilifying them are also raining down criticism when right-wing views or white supremacist views are shunned on camp. So, no, you got to let us speak. So, when does the free speech end? I personally, I don't think anybody should be calling for genocide. I don't. I think that's like that falls under the same thing. Like, you shouldn't yell fire in a crowded theater. I think it falls under that. I think people look at free speech and they take that to an extreme. No, you can't. Your right to free speech does not include the right to put my life at risk or the lives of other people at risk. Come on, this is common sense. It's common sense.
Yeah, I mean,
So, and
tell
she,
them that.
I don't think that she, that President Gay and President McGill, I don't think they realized that they were being bushwhacked. That
No, and they were trying to be too smart by half. They
yeah,
were trying
that's
to be
it.
too smart
Yeah.
by half. And they just tell me this doesn't piss you off. Let me ask you, you do a lot of work, man. I see you put out a lot of material. You do. You fight hard for the cause. I mean, just the cause of the, left of center, trying to keep America moving forward cause.
Mm-hmm.
How much does it piss you off? Because I know it just sent me into orbit. Here we have three women, smart women. I called a friend of mine who's a professor up in Harvard, and I asked him, what's the deal with this, man? And they're like, she's freaking great. Claudine Gay is nice. She's just a nice person. I mean, it wasn't that she was hateful. It wasn't. I don't believe she's she's anti-Semitic.
No,
I don't
get that vibe. No.
That's not what I'm hearing from anybody. But damn, like you said, this was a no-brainer. This was, this wasn't a complex setup. This should have been an easy question.
Yep.
Can you call for the genocide of people on campus? No, you can't. Mm-hmm. And then if they wanted to add a but after that, but if it's just an academic discussion, we try to invoke thought on our campuses. Okay, well, yeah, fine. But it should have been a hard no to begin with. And as somebody that spends the hours that I do, the time that I do, the energy that and I know you, man, I've seen the amount of information you put out, which I know better than most. That means there's a huge amount of information being ingested. Because like you say, you don't like to put bullshit out. Mm-hmm. How much does it piss you off when we have a situation like 3 strong, smart women, one a woman of color, a gay woman, in a position of power? This is a good thing, man. We're trying to diversify the country, and they screw it all up over something so freaking stupid. Just the easiest, in the world. How much does that piss you off, man, to have to clean that shit up?
It's disappointing. It's even more disappointing that Elise Stefanik gets to count that as a notch under her belt. She gets to tick that off as a win. She was not deserving of that at all. I think, as you said, they were trying to be too smart by half, I think is like the perfect way of putting it. You didn't need to, they didn't need to split hairs on that at all. They just needed to come out and say what they believe in, period. Unequivocally. But at the end of the day, I don't think any answer would have sufficed for Elise Stefanik, right? That she was out for blood. That was her agenda before Claudine Gay and Liz McGill, and I don't remember the third woman's name.
Kornbluth.
Yeah, I don't believe that their line of questioning was accidental or I think it was meant to draw blood. It was meant to force them into a rhetorical corner from which they could not leave.
Exactly. And it's because it's motivated by the fact that Stefanik was kicked off the board of Harvard. She was. She was on a warpath. You're right. This was political warfare. But it just pisses me off because look at this comment. Darkstar makes great comments on my show. I don't agree with this one, but Texas Paul, did you fall for Elise Stefanik's coordinated MAGA media effort to bait college president and to see what we told you? No, I didn't fall for shit. I got stuck in the unenviable position of having to make a choice. Do I argue for something that is indefensible? Which is their answer was indefensible. And worse, they had a chance to clean it up. And they arrogantly doubled down. And they gave, like you said, they gave Elise Stefanik this. She doesn't deserve this. She's done nothing for the people of New York.
Mm-hmm.
She's not a hero. She's not. This was a vengeful freaking attack. But look at the situation these smart people put us in. And that pisses me off, man. I don't like this fight is hard enough. It's hard enough to stay on offense. Don't freaking hand them easy shit. Just don't. I mean, I don't know about you, but my ass is chapped a little bit about this. I'm like, look, all the effort I put in, all the effort you put in, all the effort everybody else puts in to keep the country moving in the right direction, fighting for diversity. And then you've got jackholes like Chris Rufo, that what he does is he takes things like this,
weaponizes,
and he weaponizes it, feeds it to the racists, the people that didn't want diversity, that the misogynists that said, "Oh, you're just making women in charge, and we're all going to be poorer for it." They all loved this.
Chris Rufo was the guy who turned CRT into a 4-letter word, you know? And he it's not like he hid his intent either. He was like out there and said, "This is what we're going to do." And he did it. And no repercussions for him either. No, it's just, it's like a runaway train, that whole thing. And I think they're doing it with, what is it? Diversity, DEI,
equity, diversity, equity, and inclusion.
There we go. That, same treatment for that.
And to show you what a shithole X-Chan has become, this is Alan Garber. Okay, he's the provost at Harvard. For folks that you don't deal with universities, the provost is like the underboss. He's the underboss, put it that way. Okay. You've got the president of the university. You have a provost. The provost, a university like Harvard has multiple colleges in it. Each college has a dean. Those deans all report to the provost. Okay. Alan Gerber has an amazing career. He was at Stanford forever before. He's been at Harvard for a little over a decade now. He's done amazing things at Harvard. Harvard's like a big ship. It's like an oil tanker. Okay. It don't turn fast. It just doesn't. It takes a lot of force for a long time to make Harvard change. Gerber's been masterfully updating Harvard. He has. So when Claudine Gay steps down, it's Alan Gerber that takes her place temporarily. Which makes sense. He's the underboss, right? I mean, he's the guy that's he's the rubber meets the road when it comes to running the university. Makes sense, right?
Sure.
But X-Chan being X-Chan, this is a bad thing. You want to guess why?
Because he's a white man?
Sorta. It was kind of sort of that, but it was
a white man replacing a black woman? Or straight
white
man?
Jew. He's a Jew. He's Jewish. Last night,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, last night.
See why that
X-Chan,
matters.
it shouldn't. But last night, the whole pro-Palestinian movement. Oh, the Zionists got her. The Zionists got her. It was the Jews that took her down. It was all freaking over. And then that was one chorus over here. Then over here, you had the freaking racists and the freaking haters, the LGBTQ haters and everybody else singing a mirrored song that the Jews run everything. It's like, I hate the world right now, man. I hate that the far left and the frickin' racists are all marching in frickin' lockstep. It's
Yeah.
And all she had to do was an easy layup, man.
Mm-hmm.
No, this doesn't conform with university policy. That was it.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. I mean, I don't know about you. I don't know how you feel about it. But damn, I get tired of fighting stupid shit. I mean, stupid shit.
I pick and choose my battles, Paul. Like I'm swimming in stupid shit all day long, every day, and for the most part, on Twitter, I have muted a lot of the people who don't have anything productive to offer. They're just noise and nasty memes showing me being sodomized or whatever. It's really horrendous stuff there that I just mute. And every once in a while, I'll engage with someone on the other side who doesn't lead with, I heard you sold your kids and that nonsense. And I try to
email.
What's that?
I got an email from we've got a longtime listener on the show. Sent me an email just yesterday that was talking about what you're talking about. He's like, I am a Republican. I am a lifelong Republican, but I don't believe in that shit that they're doing, and I'll be voting Democrat. And then he goes out and he explains his views, and I'm like, you're a Democrat, dude. I hate to tell you, man, but you're a Democrat. You are. You just don't know it.
Oh,
you're a conservative Democrat.
That's a great email to get.
Yeah, I do. Oh, and I wanted to thank everybody. I got a ton of Christmas cards, man. I got some really, really nice Christmas cards. I wanted to thank everybody for that. So yeah, I appreciate you guys sending those. Those were fantastic. I got something else for you, and I need to know, man. Jets or Giants?
Giants.
Oh,
yeah.
then it is. Then this isn't going to piss you off as much as it pisses me off. Guess who's in the news?
Aaron Rodgers
got on the. Yeah. Oh man, you heard about that stuff on the Pat McAfee show? Talking about Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh yeah, that he was on the Epstein list.
Yeah,
I heard about that. First of all, let me just say, when you ask me Jets or Giants, like I am a fan of both teams. When I was preteen and all the way up into my early 20s, I was an avid Jets fan, and I suffered through like the lean years, the rough years, and we had some really good pieces. We're never quite able to put it together, except there was one year that Bill Parcells. Was it Bill Parcells? No, it was Belichick. Bill Belichick was at the helm of the Jets for like a hot minute. Anyway, so I've rooted for both teams my whole life because it's in New York, it's New York Jets, New York Giants. So I'm rooting for both. And same thing with the Yankees and the Mets. I'm a Yankee fan, but I root for the Mets unless it's a Subway Series and we're playing each other. Then screw you, Mets, and my Yankees are. But yeah, so I'm a Giants fan. I love the fact that we were the only team to be able to take down the Tom Brady led Patriots.
I hear you, man. I totally understand because I am Texans. I love the Houston Texans. CJ Stroud is my man.
Oh yeah, he did something this year, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He's doing great, man. And D'Amico Ryans, our new coach, is awesome. But hell yeah, I follow the Cowboys. Hell yeah, I'm watching the Cowboys game. I cheer for the Cowboys. Of course I do.
CeeDee Lamb is my dude. That's right. Yeah.
Monique Lee here says, I hope Kimmel sues Rogers, and I hope he does too, because man, I tell you, everything you're seeing on social media.
Did you say
they're like,
Monique Lee? That's one of
Yeah.
that's one of my peeps there. Yeah.
is it?
Hey,
Is she?
Monique. Yeah.
Glad you could be here, Monique. But I am telling you, man, I'm telling you, the right doesn't get it. They just don't get it. They're like, oh, those hypocrite Democrats. Jimmy Kimmel makes fun of Rogers all the time, and then Rogers says something, and he's threatening to sue him because Kimmy, did you see Kimmel's statement that he put out?
Yeah,
Said that's defamation, you asshole.
It's a very big difference between clowning on somebody for, I don't know, for their beliefs, and then accusing someone of being a pedophile and engaging in sexual assault or rape of young women on Epstein Island. That's a humongous difference, especially as Kimmel's statement said, it put his family in danger. So absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, there's and that's what I was saying. They can't understand this because they're such shitty people. They're such screw. They can really not differentiate in their head between someone making fun of Aaron Rodgers for something he actually said or actually did.
Mm-hmm.
A comedian poking fun at that. They can't differentiate between that and some guy just accusing you of being a pedophile.
Mm-hmm.
To them, because they do it all day long. I don't know about you. I don't know how many times you've been called a pedophile, but every time every time I post something positive about the president or anything like that, you're just a pedophile. I mean, that's defamation, guy. That is textbook defamation.
Everyone they don't like is a pedophile, basically.
Yeah.
And I find it interesting that that they only believe it's Democrats or liberals on that Epstein list. They do not believe, despite the fact that Donald Trump appears in multiple in dozens of photographs with Jeffrey Epstein, and has actually even said that he was good friends with Epstein. And apparently, I don't know how true this is because I didn't see it from an actual source. People were saying that his name appears 7 times on flight logs.
Dude, I can take you to the internet and show you 7 pictures of him on Epstein's plane.
See, I saw those pictures and I thought they were AI manipulated, so I didn't bother to, share them.
Man, he goes way back with Epstein. He does. He goes, and he's on the record. You can actually get video that is just audio of his voice actually saying what a great guy Epstein is and how funny he is and how he likes to spend time with him and yada yada. I mean,
I do remember him saying something to the effect of, and he also likes women on the young side, similar to me, or something like that. He made a similar comment to that. Yeah.
But they can't differentiate. And this, we had some more news yesterday. I mean, this is going to make you smile. I don't know if you've caught this yet, but this is going to make you smile.
I catch it all, buddy.
Former Rowan County, Kentucky clerk Kim Davis was ordered to pay a total of $260,104 in attorney's fees and costs to a same-sex couple who she refused to issue a marriage license to in defiance of the Supreme Court.
That's on top of the $100,000 that was judged against her back in September. So yeah, karma's a bitch, ain't it?
Yeah. And the right wing take on it, go to social media. They're picking on us. You can't have your beliefs, man. They'll sue you for having your beliefs. No, you can have your beliefs.
But you got to do your job, man.
Yeah, you got to do your job, man. You can't take that government money. You can't represent the people and choose which people you represent.
So this has already been litigated, right? So we learned that if it's a private owner of a bakery, apparently they are allowed to they're allowed to discriminate against clients. They don't have to bake a cake for a gay couple if they don't want to. But if you're working for the government, whether it's the local level, city, state, or federal, and you have to produce a marriage license, well, then either quit or do your job. Right?
Yeah. Spot
It's
on.
not complicated.
Right between the upside. And I tell you, all this all this litigation is killing the right wing, because they're like, well, you can't make a baker bake a cake for a gay couple because that's making him participate in their gay wedding. Okay. So that means that every gun shop that ever sold a gun that was used in a crime or a murder participated in that crime or that murder. Oh, no. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. We don't like that.
I like that.
You shouldn't have made the freaking argument, should you? Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, man, they hate that. They hate that. You know, they call them for the fact bat, my friend. Bring the facts. Bring the facts.
That's cool.
Bring the facts.
The fact that it's cool.
I'm telling you.
That's
I don't,
clever.
man, I don't bullshit. I don't lie. I don't, you know, I'm not saying I'm perfect and I'm not ever wrong, but I don't lie. I tell people the way it is. And it's really simple. You want to argue in court that making somebody a cake is you being forced to participate in a wedding that you don't approve of because of your religion that should have stopped at your damn nose.
Mm-hmm.
Your religion should stop at the end of your damn nose.
Yeah, that's right. Your religion doesn't. You have every right to practice your religion, but you don't have the right to infringe upon my freedoms because you're not allowed to do something in your religion. Right?
True. Exactly, my friend.
I got a bat.
I appreciate you.
I got a bat too. That's my Halloween.
Niggin bat.
Yeah. That's from Halloween.
When I was designing Fact Bat, I actually was thinking that's where I was going to end up with a Negan bat, but it just looked so cool. It looked so cool. I was like, no, I'm not wrapping this in barbed wire.
Yeah,
this just looks good. I like it.
Also, if you have it in barbed wire, you can't rest it on your shoulder like that.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Didn't think about that. Glad I didn't. Glad I didn't. I like the old Negan bat, man. I do. One last thing I want to get your opinion on. I appreciate you for hanging out so long. I have made an assertion that I believe is true. We've got James Comer here.
Around the world, that's a basic question every American family asks around the dinner table, both during Thanksgiving and Christmas break. What exactly did the Bidens do to receive this money, and why won't Joe Biden be honest about his involvement and knowledge in his family's shady business?
Okay, so we got James Comer, and James Comer is trying to sell that every American was sitting around the table at Thanksgiving and Christmas thinking to themselves, how about those Bidens and their crime? Exactly. That was my reaction too.
No, look, Paul, we've seen this. You and I don't know. You might be a little bit younger than me, but I remember back in the 80s, the late 70s, when President Carter was in office, they were trying to make his brother, was it Billy? I feel like his brother's name was Billy, right? And Billy had like a drinking problem. And then
Billy Beer, yeah.
Yeah. And then Reagan had some issues, and every president, they go after members of their family, even come to think of it, President Obama has this kooky brother in Kenya. I think he's like a conservative, and they wheel him out every now and then to say some old dumb shit. But yeah, so they've been going after members of president's family for as long as I can. Come to think of it, even Chelsea, they went after Chelsea
Yep.
for some nonsense with Hillary, and Hillary wasn't even the president.
Yeah.
Disgusting. Yeah.
Yeah. I am making the assertion, and I believe it is true, that in 2023, the Republican investigation died. That tactic died. That Comer is freaking out because it's his face that's out there. He's the one that's going to take the L for this. But it has no impact anymore, in part because of guys like you and me. I mean, when they used to be able to put stuff out. Ken Starr would put stuff out. Kavanaugh was his lieutenant. That's where Brett Kavanaugh came from, by the way. He was Ken Starr's lieutenant in the Whitewater investigation. They would just put stuff out, and the press would do what they do now, which is just run with it. Mm-hmm. But there was never that counter voice from people like me and you and everybody checking this. That's gone. I believe that era is over. They're humiliating themselves every time. I love that tweet that keeps coming around it's on both Threads and XChan. It's all of the evidence being of Biden corruption being trucked to the hearings in DC, and it's a cargo truck with no box, no bed, no nothing on it. It's just straight frame rails.
I haven't seen that yet.
I love that, dude. Next time I'll tag you the next time I see it. It's hilarious. It's freaking hilarious.
I haven't seen that. Yeah, that's good.
But that's good. Man, none of this is working, and they don't understand why. And Comer really believes in his heart of heart that everybody's just believing the shit he's saying. When guys like me and you are sitting there saying, "Oh, really? Comer, you got a shell company named Farm Team Properties. You're a partner with a developer / construction company called Dennis Cleary Construction, and you bought a piece of property with that guy that was worth $50,000. Now it's valued at over $1 million." Yeah, and this guy gets public contracts, and this guy does public works. That looks like actual corruption. So yeah, people in glass houses probably shouldn't throw stones. Yeah, and he's having a fit, man. He is Asborn Nucci. This is one of our folks that are from our European audience. This guy is great, man. Comments every. I'm telling you, I got the best audience, dude. I really do. Lending money to a family member.
It's a good comment.
It is.
Lending money to a family member and having it repaid is a terrible crime. It's so good.
I tell you. I'm telling you.
Good. Yeah. Paul, I do hope you're right, because you're right. Back in the day, they didn't have folks like us who were kind of plugged in and using the strength of our platform to counter the lie. Because I often worry that about that old adage, like if you repeat a lie enough, it becomes the truth. And I try to counteract that as often as I can by repeating the truth. And I just hope that the truth is more powerful than a lie. At the end of the day, they know that they don't have any evidence. They themselves, they have this. Many Republicans have said this. There's no evidence of any wrongdoing by President Biden. There's no evidence to warrant him being impeached. They don't care. At the end of the day, they don't care. That old saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. They only have smoke. They don't have fire. They have smoke. And they are hoping to muddy the waters and just make it look enough like, I don't know, maybe there's something to this. I don't know, because there's all these accusations of corruption. I don't see any evidence, but there's all these accusations. I don't know. They're hoping that the American public is either too distracted with their day-to-day, trying to pay the bills and take care of their families, or that the American public is too stupid or too worn down to care. And at some point, they win if the American public says, you know what, left, right, Republican, Democrat, they're both the same. They're both corrupt. That's where they win, if they equate both of us on the same level, because we are not the same.
No, we are not the same. You put a tweet out yesterday, my friend, addressing the Einstein, the Epstein list, and you made the comment that because for some reason that list became all about Bill Clinton.
Right.
I did a search yesterday for Epstein list. Okay, in the morning. Because I wanted to read a couple different news articles on it to see if there was anything out there I didn't know. I mean, that's part of the job, man. You've got to ingest information.
Yeah.
When I did search for Epstein list, you know how you do a Google search? There'll be a couple articles at the top, and then there will be a cluster of these are all the different articles, man. BBC, Guardian, Washington Post, New York Times, and there'll just be a list of headlines all clustered together, right? They were all about Bill Clinton. Every news outlet.
Yep.
By the time we finished trashing that at lunch, they were gone. When I did a search at 2 p.m, I was going to screenshot that for today's show. All of those headlines were gone. Because we fucking destroyed that shit on social media. We used our followings. We said, you know what? If Clinton's on that list, prosecute him. But you know who is on that list? A guy that's running for president today. A guy that's running for president today.
Yep.
But you corporate media, you want to talk about a guy that hasn't held office in 2 decades. Because you think it'll get you clicks, and that's what your Republican donors want you to do.
Yeah.
Because they've got to make it a horse race, dude. They've got to, or they don't get that sweet, sweet campaign money at the end of the year. Last time it was $14 billion.
Oof.
And if it's not a horse race, they don't get it.
Yeah, they need us. They need us to be a white knuckle ride. They need us, biting our nails down to the nub and hitting refresh and tuning into their breathless reports 24/7. Out of worry, out of compulsive, worry about what's going to happen. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, got another comment here. Tom Sears, man, says Kevin Anderson got to hold it by the handle. Oh, wrong one, dude. I missed it. Grabbed the wrong one. There was a comment up here that was talking about in that story, there are 2 guys that are actually running for president, Robert Kennedy Jr. and Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That are on that list. And then there's another guy running for president that wasn't on the list, Joe Biden.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But they couldn't talk about that. So what did they talk about? Bill Clinton. They made a story that is a freaking huge story. You have 2 candidates running for president. One is on a pedophile's list, flew on his plane, visited his island, talked about the guy like he was a great freaking guy. And then you got another guy that had nothing at all to do with any of this, who's running on the other ticket. And what did they do? They had to make it somehow about Democrats.
Yeah.
And it's bullshit, man. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I really am. I'm tired of it. I mean, this is why I do what I do. I don't know about you. I don't know what drives you. But when I see something like that, they curse themselves with old Texas Paul for another year at least. I see that, and it's like, come on. Come on. I mean, by noon, dude, by noon, those headlines were gone.
Yeah.
They knew they had fucked up. They knew they had screwed up. I mean, what does that tell you?
It tells me that they are being very dishonest in their coverage. And, it's up to us to hold their feet to the fire and hold them accountable and call them out for their bullshit when we see it. There's way too much at stake. I am not giving him a pass at all. And I like to. With my posts, I try to not always be negative because that's draining. I also like to share as often as possible President Biden's accomplishments, and sometimes I feel like when we list them all in bullet point form, that the eyes can kind of glaze over, and you don't really grasp. So maybe only 2 or 3 accomplishments per tweet, because there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of good that he did. For instance, officially as of January 1st, insulin is now capped at $35 per month. I got into it with some trolls this morning about why that matters. You shouldn't be making a big deal out of it. Yeah, you should. It matters to people who have previously been spending hundreds of dollars per month on this. They're going to save so much money, and at the end of the day, that's what matters. It's not any of these culture war nonsense. It's not about pronouns. It's not about any of that stuff. It's or Coca-Cola, Bud Light. It's about your bank account. It's about your savings. It's about how easy it is to or difficult it is to support your family, and medical expenses. That's huge. That is huge.
Yeah,
So
I actually just deleted right before you brought that subject up. Just deleted. I had a video tuned up. I was going to try to get to you, but we've run a little bit long, and I appreciate you for being here for so long, my friend, man. But it was from CNN. That very thing. Did they give Biden credit? No. No. They ran a whole segment where they said it was the drug companies.
Yep.
It was the drug companies did this for us. Did you see that, Terrell, over at CNN?
Yesterday. Yeah.
It was the drug companies that did this. They because it was just financially beneficial for them to do that, this, that, and the other. It was so bad that people put community notes on their release, on CNN's release, saying, no, it wasn't the drug companies. It was Joe Biden. It was the Inflation Reduction Act that specifically mandated that they had to do this. And that's what I'm talking about, my friend. That is what I'm talking about. We have to keep out there. We have to keep banging away, doing what we're doing, man. I know you get a lot of haters. Don't ever let them get you down, man. We need you in the fight, my brother. We need you in the fight, my friend.
Thanks, buddy. I'm trying to pace myself, but yeah, this is 2024. This is our Super Bowl. There's no taking off for any plays. I will give myself mental health breaks actually daily. Daily. I don't stay in there. In fact, I often log off just before breaking news happens. At night. My wife and I, we like to watch. We just finished watching Yellowstone, which is a great show. I don't know if you've seen that yet. It's a lot of fun.
I hate that show. I hate that show. I do. I hate Yellowstone. It is the most cliche bullshit I've ever
Is it
seen.
really? Because I feel like I learned a lot about cowboys and
you learned nothing about
ranches and
cowboys
stuff.
from that show.
Really?
You learned nothing about cowboys from that show.
No.
That's a hard. Trina Langa just put a comment up. She was asking about the Epstein list just a second. She was asking about the Epstein list. Has a full list ever been made public? No, it was supposed to, by judge's order, was supposed to be released yesterday.
It's been postponed to January 22nd. Is the latest.
Really? Thank you for, because I hadn't had a chance to catch up on. Thanks for letting everybody know that. But yes, Trina Langa, she's
apparently John Doe 107. John Doe number 107's legal attorney made that request to postpone the airing of that list until the 22nd.
Wonder what Republican that is.
Yeah.
No, I hate Yellowstone, my friend. I do. You learn nothing about cowboys from Yellowstone. You don't. That is the most theatrical bullshit. First of all, very few cowboys ride horses today. Very few. They can. It's part of the culture. but no big working ranch that is supposed to be the size, the Yellowstone's supposed to be thousands of acres and yada, yada. It's really 100-acre ranch, by the way, where the pictures
In
come
Montana?
from. It's a 100-acre ranch. But anyways, but it's supposed to be like thousands of, there are beef outfits that big.
Mhm.
None of them manage their cattle with horses. None of them. That is bullshit. Being a cowboy is a hard, labor intensive job. It really is. And believe me, every chance they get to use side-by-sides or four-wheelers or anything like that, that's what they do. Because you don't have to saddle it. You don't have to feed it. You don't have to have a veterinarian take care of it. You pour gas in it and change the oil in it, and it always works for you, man. That is it is. I get so mad at that damn show. I do. I get mad at that show. Now don't get me wrong. There are cowboys out there that still rope and ride and stuff like that. But that is not the way these big commercial outfits work. It's just not.
We started watching 1883 and then 1923, and then we started watching. So we started, chronologically, and so we followed this Dutton family, through history. So it was interesting for us. Yeah.
1923 was a hell of a lot more accurate than Yellowstone is. Yellowstone keeps trying to pretend that they're still back in 1923. They're not. You know what I mean? They're just not. But anyways, my friend, I appreciate you being here. And I hate somebody's asking about Bass Reeves. That's another one I'm angry about, man.
Bass Reeves was really good.
Yeah,
that's actually he's a legend. I don't know how much of that story is accurate, but he was a real person. Yeah. Great show.
He is the guy that the Lone Ranger is based on.
No.
Yeah, he is. He's the guy, Tonto is sidekick and living and working out in the Indian Territory. That was all Bass Reeves, man. That was he's widely considered by historians and law enforcement historians to be the greatest lawman our country has ever known.
Dude, he is my mind. I can't wait to tell my wife.
His surveillance techniques, his intelligence gathering techniques are actually still taught today. I mean, the man was a genius, but the show, complete crap. I had to sit through 7 freaking episodes, and I'm like, all right, Bass Reeves, man, somebody's finally going to do a good one on that. This is the guy we need to be talking about, not the damn Lone Ranger. Bass Reeves, he's real, man. He's real. 6-7 episodes of, I really hate being a lawman, and it's so hard on my family. That dude loved being a marshal.
Yeah,
he loved it. He was not having an existential crisis about the law and being a lawman.
Okay, hang on, but wait. There was a crisis he had, and he had to hand over that guy. He handed over that guy to the bad guy. I forget what
Barry Pepper.
Yeah, Barry Pepper, who's a really good bad guy. It bugged him, and then that woman escaped. He was having a conflict. Like, I know I'm supposed to follow the law, but I also know that there's a difference between right and wrong, and I don't feel right about this dude who shot my little stepson back in the day.
Yeah.
And then he wanted to go out and get himself some justice, off the books, so to speak.
See, how great could that have been, dude? How great could that have been if they had really taken a look at the fact that after the Civil War, a lot of the law was Confederate soldiers. That's what happened during Reconstruction. When they gave up on Reconstruction, they made the 1876 compromise and all that other shit and gave up on Reconstruction and took the troops home. All of the law filled out with frickin' Confederate soldiers.
Wow.
That would have been a great thing to really dig into on that show. Not 6 episodes of, oh man, I really miss my wife and this was so hard on me. And no, man, that is not that dude's life. It isn't.
They had to try to make him relatable, in some way. I think if I spent a month or 2 weeks on the road away from my wife, I think that'd bug me. Huh?
Yeah, but that's like what, a quarter of an episode, maybe. You know what I mean? This is the Lone Frickin' Ranger we're talking about. Bass Reeves
I had no
is
idea
an
that was the Lone
American
Ranger.
hero. Yeah, he's an American hero, man. He really is. And you're right. That was a great question there. Great conflict. Here he is, African American, working in the Indian Territory, has romantic relationships with an Indian before he married his wife. His first love was Indian.
Mm-hmm.
The conflicts he would have had to have felt dealing with a post-Reconstruction South.
Yeah.
And like you say, handing that prisoner over would have had to have killed him. That was great. Run with that. Instead, they made that a quarter of an episode.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it was one episode, but they really only dealt with it for like a quarter of an episode. And I don't know. I'm disappointed. Let me put it that way. I think Paramount could have done so much better with Bass Reeves. I do.
I am a much more generous reviewer. I like to be entertained. I like there's certain things that I get from watching these TV shows. I love period pieces, right? So I like the dialect. I like the costumes. I like the acting. I thought the acting was very strong in that show too. The cinematography, music, all of these things that play into. If I'm entertained, I'm good.
Oh, Barry Pepper. I tell you, man, Barry Pepper did a great job as the villain there. He really did.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like just calm and kind as he could be. Calm down, kid. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. As soon as that kid lowered his weapon, bam, shoots the kid. I mean, it's like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Barry Pepper did a great job there. I do. I normally like him as a good guy, but he did a great job as a villain. He did. I liked him in Green Mile. He was in Green Mile also, Barry Pepper.
Oh, wow. I didn't remember him.
He was one of the guards that you remember the guard that was crying like a baby when they executed John Coffey? That was Barry Pepper. That was Barry Pepper.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, look, my friend, I appreciate you hanging out. We blew over our time limit. We're way over 2 hours now, man. We're a minute over 2 hours. So, but we got to call it a day. It was so fun talking to you again, my friend.
Same here, Paul. Thank you for having me. This has been fun.
Can you put a plug in for your show and what you're doing now, where people can find you online? And
oh yeah, so I have a little show called Storytime with BDD. You can just type that in into your YouTube search engine, and you can find me on Twitter at mmpadellin, MMPADELLAN. Follow me there. Sometimes I say clever things. And I'm on all the other social, the threads and the posts and this and that. Same thing, same Padellin. Follow me there, and let's connect.
Well, it was great talking to you, my friend. Always, as usual, wonderful conversation. I love how we can just get into it, even on stuff we don't 100% agree on, man. We can really dig in and talk about issues. I love it, man. Good to see you again, my friend.
Same here, buddy.
Folks, enjoy some Texas cities at night. We're out of here.